like to call this meeting to order. This is the Village Board meeting, Tuesday, May 13th. If we'd all stand, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo?
Present.
Trustee Kajanis?
Present.
Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Suisse?
Present.
Trustee Yukich?
Present.
Mayor Daley?
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. Tonight, there's no minutes for the board's consideration this evening. This is under recognition. As many of you know, I created a recognition program in 2013 called the Making the Difference Award. I'll present this award from time to time to individuals who have exemplified the outstanding spirit of volunteerism in Homer Glen. Tonight, I would like to recognize the contributions of a longtime public servant and resident of Homer Glen, Ms. Candace Rose. Candace has dedicated countless hours to the Village of Homer Glen as a recording secretary to the Planning Commission. In this position, Candace has kept the official minutes of the Village Planning Commission for over 12 straight years, since April of 2002. Her work in this capacity is extremely important because minutes are official documents. Candace, as the recording secretary, is responsible for capturing the essence of the meeting on paper. That might include recording that a special use was discussed but not directly quoted for the discussion, and how to format those for who are not present. I think Candace has done a tremendous job in taking minutes to the Planning Commission meetings. Through her work, she has captured the history of Homer Glen, including the journeys that many projects have undergone before becoming a reality. For Candace's endeavors supporting the good work of our Planning Commission and for all of her volunteer service over the years, I'd like to present her with the Village's third Making the Difference Award. Congratulations, Candace. It's hard to read this thing. Making a Difference Award to Candace Rose for her dedication, years of outstanding service and commitment. Thank you for everything you have done. You truly make a difference. It's hard to read through clear. Let me walk up to look at the picture. The next agenda item is reports and communications from the mayor and trustees. Honor the mayor's report. Today I attended 3 ribbon cutting ceremonies at Trent Nails and Spa, Sleepy's, the Mattress Professionals, and Ratessa Bakery. All of these businesses I've mentioned are located in shopping centers in front of the Home Depot off of Bell Road. I urge everyone to stop in and see these businesses and see what they have to offer for the community. Under existing new business investing heavily in Homer Glen, you know what? I've got an issue going on with my family and what have you. I'm going to turn this meeting over to the Mayor Pro Tem, George Yukich.
Well, we'll finish up what the mayor had to say here. Existing businesses investing heavily in Homer Glen to the tune of almost $11 million. There is a lot going on in the village with new people coming in and the people that have already been here. They're doing more build-outs. There are more people looking for properties here. So we are in the right direction. Homer Glen's electric energy supply rates not subject to ComEd's new supply rate increase. ComEd comes out, I believe, next week with their new rates that won't affect us because we are not with ComEd unless you opted out of how the electric worked. So it says the village of Homer Glen, along with other municipalities in Will County, belongs to the Will Electric Aggregation Group. The sole purpose of this group is to save residents money on their electric bills. In September of 2012, the Will Electric Aggregation Group approved a 24-month contract term with First Energy Solutions at a rate of 4.83 cents per kilowatt hour. First Energy Solution provides the electric energy supply while ComEd is responsible for the delivery of that power to Homer Glen and businesses. On May 6, 2014, ComEd filed its 2014 summer electricity rate with the ICC. The new ComEd rates for the supply of electricity is 7.596 cents. The Will Electric Aggregation Group and its members committees, including the Village of Homer Glen, will retain the rate of 4.83 cents. So ours will not be going up. Homer Township Highway Department's brush pickup program discontinued. As many of you know, the Homer Township Highway Department has opted to discontinue their brush pickup program. The Highway Department will continue with its original program of removing only storm-damaged limbs from the right-of-way. Residents will be allowed to call the Highway Department up until the second Monday following any major storm wind event, such as the one we had on Mother's Day, to have limbs picked up. Beyond the Highway Department's provided storm damage removal program, Homer Glen residents will always have the yard waste program that is provided by New Way Disposal during the summer months. Branches picked up by New Way must be tied in easy-to-handle bundles that are no more than 4 feet long. Residents are being encouraged to use the waste removal services offered by New Way. Finally, some staff news. I would like to congratulate Village Manager Davis on a recent professional achievement. Manager Davis, who is a past president of the Illinois City Council Management Association, has been named by the current ILCMA president to the chair of the association's important committee on professional conduct. This committee is responsible for ensuring that all ILCMA members adhere to the very strict ICMA code of ethics which guide the professional conduct of city, village professional managers. I would like to congratulate Cameron for being selected to chair this important group. So with that, we're going to go to the trustees for their reports, and we'll start down with Trustee DeVivo.
Thank you, Trustee Yukich. There's no report on the Park Committee right now, but I do want to make a comment that I did receive an email that from a resident that was concerned about the structure of the Woodbine property and how it was going to be developed, and I will be answering him in an email. I will assure him that everything will be done above board. We are going to build out that park to the very best that this community deserves, and it will be done professionally, definitely. So don't worry about that. The other thing I wanted to just mention quickly is that it's not about the parks, but I represent District 7, which is Homer Glen and Lockport, for the Will County Stormwater Committee. And I have been put on a committee that is investigating release rates for the water release rates from the detention ponds and water quality. And they're looking at this because of some new IEPA regs. So hopefully it'll give us some insight and help us with our stormwater ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee DeVivo. Trustee Suisse.
Thank you, Trustee Yukich. Reporting for the Homer Harvest Days Committee, we are in the discussion phase for lining up entertainment, and we are seeking more vendors and demonstrators that will be appropriate for the Harvest Days theme. Live steamers, Taylor's Battery Bee, and Innisfree will be returning. The committee is also looking for more volunteers, and community service hours will apply. We are now in the process of distributing sponsorship letters for the event, which takes place September 6th and 7th. Our next meeting is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in the township offices. If anyone is interested in becoming a committee member representing the village, please join in and see what we're all about. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. Trustee Kajianis?
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to start off, Candace, well-deserved. Served several years, many years on the Planning Commission. You were always there. Did a wonderful job, well-deserved. Congratulations. Also, I was kind of sudden for the mayor to leave, but I'd like to wish the mayor, Jim Daly, all the best as it relates to the family situation. Thoughts are with him. I'd like to report on something that was reported on earlier about the ribbon cutting. Congratulations and best wishes to Trent's Nails and Spas at 13961 Bell Road. They did a fabulous build-out. Looks marvelous inside. Best of luck with that new entrepreneur spirit in Humber Glen, as well as Sleepy's, the mattress professionals. Boy, do they know their product. Talking to them, I was thoroughly impressed. Any questions that were asked, they knew the answer. Welcome Sleepy's, the mattress professionals at 14009 Bell Road. Artesia Bakery. Well, I don't know what else to say, but delicious. I'm just impressed. And yeah, I kind of clogged up the line buying everything there was I could buy. And they're located at 14045 Bell Road. Best of luck to all our new entrepreneurs in our village. May the sales be with you. Also, what I want to say is, with this thought in mind, in the last couple of weeks, we had several ribbon cuttings for small businesses, the small entrepreneurial business in our community. This is a positive thing for every household in the village of Humber Glen, as we all received our property tax notices to pay. That was a fun notice, wasn't it? We saw the increases. There's a direct correlation to property taxes and commercial retail development in our village. The CED understands this responsibility to the village and to the residents and homeowners. We also understand that we have to encourage and foster the entrepreneur spirit in Humber Glen. And for this, we thank all the entrepreneurs that came into Humber Glen to develop a business that could provide for their household, for their dinner table, that helps this village grow, and hope stays off future raises in development of our property tax. With this in mind, we have to also understand that when we put in undue restrictions or philosophies or agendas, we understand that we have to understand that also it also undermines the entrepreneur spirit in this country, which also undermines the entrepreneur spirit in our village. It's also been known from several studies that 1 out of 6 small businesses are home-based, are locally based from residents. For this, we thank our spirit to envelop, to provide a future for their dinner table and for their families. So this, again, I want to say thank you to them for Humber Glen. Without them and the increase of sales tax, it would not be possible to do the other spirited and community activities that we embark on through our budget, whether it's through the Prairie Garden or other activities that we have in the village. But as being a major part of our budget is through sales tax, which is through commercial. So again, I thank you, all the businesses in Homer Glen, and I thank all the people that shop and dine in Homer Glen, because the tax dollars stay here, benefit all of us, and all of us together make a community. That's my report.
Thank you, Trustee Kajanius. Trustee Sabo.
Okay, I have a report tonight. I report for the Environment Committee. And first of all, I'd like to say, Candace, I knew you when we started out with the incorporation, and you jumped right in, and you were very helpful, and you stuck with it. So you're well deserving of this award. And then I'd like to talk about something that brings a lot of people to this village, and they come from near and far, and they get to know Homer Glen, and some of them decide they want to live here, and some of them decide they wish they lived here. And one of the events of the year is Earth Day Arbor Day, which is taking place Saturday, May 17th from 11 in the morning to 4 p.m. And it's at the Kona Farm on Cedar Road. Many new activities and demonstrations will take place, and the committee works very hard to find new and exciting demonstrations and activities for children and for adults. And I want to tell you that you can go on the website. It's www.earthdayarborday.info, and you will see a lot of more detail than I'm going to tell you here. But there's an entertainment schedule, which includes Incredible Bats, Northern Illinois Raptors, Rehab and Education, those are birds of prey, Monkeys and More, and Exotic Animal Rescues, Cold-Blooded Creatures, and their last of the day will be a large tree planting by Instant Shade, who is a local resident. The demonstrations are beekeeping, bikes that generate electricity. Children can have a lot of fun powering something up as they pedal. Blacksmithing, buckskin tanning, glass blowing, hand woven basket weaving, pottery making, stained glass panel making, and there are other demonstrations that go out throughout these hours everywhere on the farm. We have many outstanding antique cars, including a 1917 Stanley steamer and also eco vehicles. The sponsors include, and we're very proud this year to say that we have more sponsors than we have had ever before. Besides the Village of Homer Glen, who has done a great job, Conow's Corn Maze, Willowbrook Ford, Home Depot, the Davy Tree Expert Company, Savers, which is a thrift superstore, Nicor Energy Efficiency Program, HR Green, Once Upon a Child, Apple Chevrolet, and New Way Disposal. And I have to tell you that we still need volunteers. And so if any of you in the audience today are willing to have some fun and do a good service, we welcome you. Just call the Village of Homer Glen or send me an email. And then we are pleased to announce that the event will have over 90 exhibitors. And they keep coming in, and they're very appropriate. I will say that Earth Day Arbor Day is a very comprehensive and outstanding green event. Although there are many in Illinois, we are one of the best, and we provide many, many more activities than a lot of other Earth Day programs do. We also celebrate Arbor Day. The list of exhibitors is available for everyone to see on the website, and I also have copies up here, and I've distributed them to our staff and to our trustees. And I think I've missed a reporter, so they'll be right here if there are any reporters that did not get any. And the The last item has to do with the Environment Committee at their last meeting has made a recommendation concerning the removal of trees on 143rd Street, because you know there's going to be construction. The Environment Committee is asking the village board to send a letter to Will County, which asks the Will County Highway Department to replace trees that have been removed because of construction. The exact count is not known. I've talked to Mike Salamovich today. But however, within a short stretch around 143rd and Lamont Road, 10 very large mature trees will be taken. That's only a small part of the road. It extends quite a way down, and that corridor will look very, very different, and this community is known for its trees and its appreciation of trees. So IDOT has agreed to replace trees on 159th Street, so I'm just going to ask the board for a nod. Do you agree with sending a letter to Will County asking them in a respectable way to replace trees?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so let it be known in the minutes that the board does agree with writing a letter and asking. And of course, it has a lot to do with our community character and the way Homer Glen looks. And I thank you very much. It's my report.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Costa?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to report for our Fest Committee. Our annual fest is June 26th through June 29th. That's Thursday through Sunday, coming up on us here pretty quick. We've got 9 bands lined up this year. Thursday night starting out with Maggie Speaks. On Friday we have 2 bands. We have 80s Enough and High Infidelity. Saturday we have 4 bands lined up. Friday, Reverend Bob, Crazy Uncle, Sinister Finch, and Infinity. On Sunday, we have 2 bands so far, Forecast and Take It to the Limit. So we've got some great bands again coming out this year. Don't forget Thursday night again is Fireworks Night, with Friday as in case Thursday night's bad weather, then they will go off on Friday. We also have the Carnival, quite a few food vendors from the community. Our parade again on Saturday, same route, same time, same place. It'll go down Parker Road from 151st Street past Culver Park. So if you're interested in participating in the parade, please contact the Homer Township Administration Building and you can get an application. We are also looking for volunteers. It's a 4-day event. There's a lot of hours and we need many people to help on this. So if you're interested, please contact the Homer Township Administration Building or the Village Hall. And we definitely will take your name and you will get a call to volunteer. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. All right, I guess it's my turn. I get to play both hats today. First off, Candace, you know, it's been a pleasure working with you too, and you've done a great job throughout the years. Couldn't be prouder to have known you for all this time. So thank you for all the service you have done. As for the public comment's going to come up next. We have a few that we have to run through, but after that it's public comment. And I see there are a lot of people here, sports-wise, and I'm taking it for granted it's a lot of residents that surround Woodbine. We will have, when we have the public comment, it would be nice if we could get a couple people up here rather than everyone trying to tell the same story, because we do know the issues that are going on. And as for myself, I apologize for not having this out to the public before it is right now. And I would like to say, so we have it in the minutes, we need to set up as soon as possible a meeting at the junior high to where every resident is involved, everyone's notified, everyone gets to speak their piece, and we finally get on with this, because this purchase of Woodbine is very good and there are a lot of things that can come out of this that will be very good. With that, that's my report. So we will go down the line. Does the treasurer have a report?
No report.
Does the clerk have a report?
No report.
Does the village attorney have a report?
No report this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Except that the Hawks are starting to tee
We got
off.
the puck at 8 o'clock.
Any task forces? Public safety officials? Village manager?
Thank you.
George?
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I'll make it brief. I can see this is going to be a long meeting. A couple of things.
one on point. Like spring flowers, orange construction signs are blooming all over Homer Glen. And we have a lot of road closures, so I want people to be careful. We know that Galga Road is closed from 151st, around down 147th Lamont Road. They expect that to be closed for months, and there'll be some rerouting of that down 151st and Cream and back up 143rd. They're going to be working on Lamont Road soon. I believe the southbound lanes, Mike, is that right, will be closed there? You might be able to explain that a little better if you ever report that southbound Lamont Road around 143rd Street will be closed for a while. And of course, everybody's worried about the 159th Street. I expect some construction to start there this year. Probably nothing with the orange cones, but they should be doing some work. I don't think anything will be in the ground there till next year. But 151st and Parker, and I'm sure Mike again can relate to that. I do know once they get all the utility moved, it'll probably be about a 10-week project. So I plan on doing a press release explaining this in greater detail in the paper, and I'll work with Mike on that, because it is substantial, and I think we should let all our residents know in great detail. Other than that, I would like to say something about the fest. You know, I'm on the fest committee, and I've taken it on myself, upon myself, with the blessing of the fest committee, to go out and gain some funds to upgrade our fireworks show. And if many of you have been there, it's a substantial upgrade in fireworks show. We're probably one of the 10 top shows in northeastern Illinois, and I'm proud to say that. The funding for that, I have to do on my own. In order to reach that level, I had to do my own. And one time, village manager Cam Davis had suggested I go to Myers. Well, as it came closer, I asked him, he sent me over to Jamie Patch, who gave me a contact there, and I really want to thank you two, because just the other day, Myers called and offered us and is giving us $6,000 for our fireworks show, which is one of the largest contributions we've ever had. So I just want to say thank you to those who helped me. I certainly want to say thank you to Myers. We have a member of our community who is extremely active in taking part of the community, and they haven't even opened yet. So I just wanted to make that and say thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Okay.
Thank you. Well, just real quick, Candace, on behalf of staff, thank you. It's a delight to work for you. I know that Aaron appreciates working with you. So your volunteerism all these years, for those of us who've taken minutes, your volunteerism is inspirational. So thank you. And I know that if the mayor would have been feeling better, he would have probably recognized all the Plan Commission members that are here tonight. The Plan Commission members are also volunteers here in the community, and I know I see them scattered, the chairman and various members. They're here to support you, so that's awesome. I'm glad that they're here tonight too. So just real quickly, the elephant in the room, the mayor's father is making a transition. And making his transition, he's had the last rites presented to him, and I don't think the mayor would mind me saying something. You know, we hope that you offer your prayers to Mr. Daly Sr. and his lovely wife, and the mayor and his brothers and sisters and their extended family. So the mayor made a good effort today on our ribbon cuttings and to put a smile face on, but the family has all gathered from around the country, and they're expecting his dad to pass this week. So if you could think of the family in your prayers, that would be great. Real quick, ComEd vegetation management. I always like to update the board when the news comes down from ComEd about vegetation management. So the village received a notification this past week that ComEd is going to be performing vegetation management on 9 different Homer Glen addresses during the month of May and June. They are scattered throughout the community, and the addresses are on the village's website, so you can all pull that up and take a look at them. Everyone who, all those 9 addresses will receive notification if they haven't already from ComEd with information about what they intend to do. Also, I know the mayor had asked me earlier to hand this out and to give this to the clerk. This is the, on occasion, we get petitions from residents in the community asking for the board to study a specific issue. And just here over the past week or maybe 2, we received a petition from 60 or more residents asking us to look at dangerous and vicious dog laws. And I know the mayor sent this on to the Public Services and Safety Committee, but he wanted the petition to be a part of the official minute, so I'll hand this to the clerk. And then Trustee DeVivo, if you could pass that down to the other trustees. And the final item Let's see. Actually, Commissioner DeVivo talked a little bit about road closure, but Mike, do you want to add anything to what he had to say?
Yeah, as Commissioner DeVivo had mentioned, we've got a couple projects that are coming up. 151st and Parker, that intersection project will begin shortly. We're waiting for some utility relocates before the actual construction begins. And also, we've got 143rd Street and Lamont Road. That project, the utility locates or relocates are in progress right now. Construction will begin shortly on that. And as Commissioner DeVivo had mentioned, there will be a detour related to that project where the southbound lane on Lamont Road will be closed for an extended period. Traffic is going to be rerouted to Archer Avenue and then to either 143rd or further south. So again, we've got projects that are coming up. 159th Street, we just had a utility coordination meeting with Illinois Department of Transportation, so they are anticipating that project to be coming up shortly. Right now, their goal is to try to get that out for bid sometime in later this year, but they don't have anything specific as of yet. So, but hopefully that construction will be starting fairly soon.
Thank you, Mike. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, public comment will start now. There's a 3-minute limit, if you wouldn't mind. It would just help, because there's a bunch of people that would like to speak. We'll start off with Robert Ware. Need your address and
Good evening. My name is Robert Ware. Each of you received an email from me, I hope. And I just want to restate a few things just for the record here tonight. I've lived in Homer Glen for 6 years, very proud of it, chose it over many other communities. I relocated from Arizona. Some people would say that's a mistake. But I came here for family and to be near my mother-in-law in Michigan and my kids here in the state as well. We chose Homer Glen because of its tranquil, dark sky designation. It's so important that you're like Flagstaff. What I hope is with the new park, you don't ruin it. You don't elevate the lighting so high that you kill that designation, and it's feasible. I'd like to also encourage you to build the park once, and by that, get all the input from all parties possible, and do it again, and then do it again, so that when you have the final plan, it's as perfect as one might hope for. But there are some things you might do, such as chases for bathrooms. Those can be put in ahead of time, but you may want to build it in stages, especially because of funding. I would like to think there is no debt, there's no borrowing, there's no bonds, and please, no new taxes. Mine went up $180, and I swear I cannot say what I got for it, and I don't think most of you can either. The other thing I'd like to ask you to do is be considerate of homes that surround the park. They specifically paid more money to get near it. Their lots are more expensive because of it, and it reflected in their values. And I, too, probably paid $30,000 or $40,000 to be next to a golf course. If we put lots of people next to people's pools or backyards and basically become an offensive park to the neighbors, that would be a disservice to those people. I would also like to encourage that we do not light things late at night. I would like to see all those parks closed when it's dark, and that would be it. The other thing I'd like to touch on is that we have an opportunity to probably operate that golf course for 2 years. I really don't. I've been in business, I've been in construction, I've run chambers of commerce, I've run large corporations, and time is a commodity that will run very fast, and you'll be out of time. So go ahead and give yourself the allowance of perhaps 2 years. Let the golf course operate and pay for itself, as I saw in the paper, cut the grass. They do a marvelous job, and I'm sure maybe some revenue. And that will give you the opportunity to take the time to build the park once and not try and redo it. I know there's many parties would love to go out there and start playing ball tomorrow. But to do that, you may have to cut trees. You already have mature trees. Why replant them? So take all of that into consideration.
Okay.
So the last thing I'd like to say is,
Okay.
you have a great opportunity to do something for literally centuries into the future. I would like to think that is probably one of the premier diamonds in this community, as well as the dark skies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Dave Freedy?
Hi, good evening. My name's Dave Freedy. I live at 12749 Oak Valley Trail. I regret to tell the board this evening that after all our hard work and efforts on fixing our flooding problem in Oak Valley, we had 2 floods over the weekend on Beaver Den Trail. Both of the rains caused some 2 feet of water on Beaver Den. I have some pictures. Aaron's helping me out here. I don't know what's causing it. Just found out about it last night. But those folks were relatively isolated while that water went down. Mike and I have talked about it, so we'll be talking more about it. Just wanted to bring it to your attention. Again, seeking help from you folks as to what we can do to correct this problem in the long run. We have phase 3 of the Oak Valley flooding plan to go yet, and we also want to go to the Forest Preserve and get a channel cut back to the open water to hopefully permanently fix this. So thanks for your efforts. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. Ed Kerfen?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ed Kerfen. I'm the president of Home Helpers at 15736 South Bell Road, right here in Homer Glen. We employ nearly 100 people at this location, and I'm here to announce that Saturday we have our 2nd annual Home Helpers Community Blood Drive from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Last year we collected 27 pints of blood, and after this long, harsh winter, the blood banks are very short. This is a great way to give back to the community. You can help other people without much effort and no cost. So if you have the chance, come out to Home Helpers over the weekend, 159th and Bell. You're welcome to give us a call for more information at 708-301-4746. But I'd also like to talk a little bit about our temporary sign ordinance for a moment. I want to support local businesses that could not attend tonight's meeting. As a small business owner, I know the importance of signage, especially temporary signage. Many businesses use them to attract new business, especially during the weekends when many people are off work and traffic is high. We need all the help we can to get our businesses to work. We need help promoting our businesses, not more rules. I'm inundated with the regulations and fees from the state. Believe it or not, it is very difficult to do business in the state of Illinois. If you don't understand or believe me, I invite you to visit my office, and I'd be happy to show you what I go through with all these regulations. Unemployment, workers' comp, liability insurance, additional corporate taxes, local business license, state license, license from the Illinois Department of Public Health, just to name a few. Let business owners be creative on showcasing their businesses. The feather banners are quite pricey and come with a lot of manufacturer recommendations on when and under what conditions they should be used. I looked into getting them for Home Helpers for Help Wanted, as I'm having difficulty finding employees. Last week, I lost $20,000 in brand new monthly revenue because I did not have the employees. So I also need to be creative in how I look for people. And I got to tell you, I never imagined that I'd be in front of the village council defending feather banners. So I'd appreciate everyone's thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Rose Rogers?
Okay, I'm the short one in the bunch here. Good evening, everybody. I would like to start, but before I go into this thing about the feather banners, I would really like to let everybody know that the Kenwood family lost their founder and their matriarch on Tuesday. Joanne and Tom Dixon lost their father. It was a tragedy, but he lived a good life and he was a great entrepreneur. His business has been one of the longest running businesses in the state of Illinois, 65 years. So I just would like the village to acknowledge that. I'm here for the sign ordinances, and you know me, I'm not a stranger to this ordinance. I've been before this board many times regarding the ordinance. I've done a lot of research regarding it. I have found that our ordinance here in the village has been, when we started the incorporation, we mirrored the ordinance of Will County. I think it's a little past post. I think we need to update our ordinances. With regard to the feather banner, we have a temporary ordinance, sign ordinance in place, and I think we just need to revisit this a little bit, maybe just in a little bit more depth to make people understand. A temporary sign is a temporary sign, whether it's a banner, it's a posted sign in the ground, or it's a feather banner. Feather banners seem to attract people a lot quicker than something that is actually stationary in the ground. I think I would ask that everybody would take a look at this ordinance again and really just revisit it and actually see what the benefits could be to having businesses do this. Right now, all the businesses are looking for exposure. That's what we're here for. We're here to generate revenue, and the best way that we could do that is through exposure. So I would just hope that you guys would take a look at that again. A lot of the places around here advertise, and I know I talk about enforcement because I'm one of the offenders of enforcement. We have flags flying, we have sports banners flying, and they're no different than a temporary sign. So if they're out there waving, why can't we have a flag, a feather banner that's out there waving? I don't see the difference. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm here to support the businesses. I'm here as a voice, which represents the business owners and the Homer Township Chamber of Commerce. And we are asking this board to consider amending the sign ordinance to include feather signs as a temporary sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Michelle Coakley.
Have to fix after her shortness. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Coakley from 14051 South Bell Road. I'm a State Farm agent here in the community and also the president of the Homer Township Chamber of Commerce. First, I want to start by thanking those of you on the board who either sent messages or visited my office last Saturday for our 5-year anniversary. I really appreciate you coming out. Obviously, coming to a community where I didn't know anybody 5 years ago and starting a business with 0 clients, it's been difficult. But for you to come out and show your support, I appreciate it. So thank you to those who did do that. And so speaking of supporting business development, I've been asked to deliver chamber member opinions and in return make my members aware of tonight's discussions and decisions related to the amendment of the temporary sign ordinance to include feather banners as an option. The chamber members, which we have 260 to 70 right now, business owners in the community and surrounding, have voiced their opinions in favor of the amendment. And as I did with the Planning Commission, I would ask that you consider this amendment from a business owner's perspective. The amendment would offer feather banners as an option for business owners who have a temporary sign permit. So your ordinance already requires them to get a permit and regulates the use of that temporary sign already. So this shouldn't be treated as anything different. Enforcement of the temporary sign ordinance should not cause distraction from the decision in front of you. This is not about enforcement. It's a simple addition to the temporary sign ordinance. Of course, feather banners are used to attract customers and develop business. In discussions with our members, what I found is they request flexibility to be creative in their advertising. That's all they want. The types of businesses who want these, of course, the village staff can tell you more, but it's banks, it's hair salons, it's auto repair shops, sporting event businesses. Of course, George over at Will Cook Ace, if you haven't heard from him yet. And you know, tanning salons, different places like that who have either requested or who have told us that they want the use of feather banners. And of course, home helpers who needs to hire people. Some of those of course, you heard from tonight, would never use them, right? But they support the use of them for the businesses who need them or who would like to use them. During the Plan Commission, I did hear some who feel these signs are unsafe for drivers and passersby because they cause distraction in driving and attention. And I would ask, isn't that what businesses are trying to do, is attract attention and maybe distract a little? On a side note, State Farm, who I've been employed with for 15 years and was a statistician for 10 years down at corporate, is the #1 provider of distractive driving research. And our current research shows the majority of distractive driving situations are a result of people looking down into their car, not up and out to see a sign. In closing, I thank you for your time, and please keep your business community and chamber members' thoughts in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Bob Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
You're welcome.
Hello, members, all our board members. It's nice to see you again. Cameron, Mike, and the beautiful lady in the middle. And our reporters, thank you for being here. Make sure my name gets in there. Anyway, a couple issues that I would like to discuss. One, has to deal with 159th Street, and some of you are aware that the state of Illinois has determined by lawsuit how they're under the rule of eminent domain taking people's property. Just so you know, all right? We have been successful working on a negotiated settlement with them. But what's interesting is we happen to have a central communication tower. Hear me. Central on our property. Now what the state of Illinois has done, not to avoid a problem with the federal government, they have taken the road, as you now know, and have veered it to the north to go around the tower that's on my property. I don't have a problem with it. That's okay. But what they have done to Wheelwell, they have closed that. They have closed Aquapool. Because 20 feet from the front of my next here will be the road. Now, I don't know about you, God bless my wife, she pays the extra net premium. So, you know, when the car comes through the building, she'll have a lot of money. But anyway, the other issue, I just wanted to make you aware of that, okay? So, as far as Wheelwell goes, you know, who knows? They also did tell us that they don't know when they're going to start. What they ever tell you, who knows? They got the money, they said, but who knows? Last but not least, as the past president of the chamber and a founding member of the chamber, please help the business community, whatever it takes to do that. I know matters for Wheelwell would do no good. Anything on 159th Street would do no good. But in a shopping center area where you get a new business, all right? I'm not saying 15 foot tall. I'm saying something maybe 10 or 12 foot, reasonable, all right, maybe 2 foot wide, on a white post. That's me. I like a white post. All right? Is that all right? White post? All right, anyway. And just saying, all right, the name of the business with a little of what they do. And that's it. Now, I don't want to see that sign up for 120 days. If we do the job, if the Homer Town Board does its job, you will be advertising that business every day. When you talk to people, you'll say, by the way, this business moves into our community. Help them. That's your job. I realize that you're volunteering, well, almost, but help the business community. We want to grow, as Martin said, with common sense. I agree with that. I don't want a fireworks store here, all right? But I don't see what's wrong with a drugstore, or a barber shop, or a beauty salon, or something that is conducive to our public. Please, make sure that you remember these people here. Not only are they residents, but they are taxpayers. And they also are the future of Homer Glen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Next speaker is Baruch Backel.
Thank you, Board. I'm Brock Backel from 15026 Eagle Ridge Drive. I had a few things I was going to say today, but one of the gentlemen took care of the light situation at Woodbine, which I appreciate, so I'll cut to the chase on a couple other issues then. I moved here in 1994, and about that time, Jim Ludwig, who owned Woodbine, back in 94, if those of you who were here back then, 151st Street was a gravel road. And Woodbine Golf Course was a startup golf course at the time. And Jim Ludwig went ahead and about that time dug a big retention pond on the northeast corner of his property. I don't know if the village back then, if someone had told Jim, dig this retention pond, it's gonna, I don't know. But he did. And in 1996, we had a huge flood. And thank God that Jim dug that retention pond when he did, in 94, 95. Because the flooding in Woodbine subdivision would have been tremendously more difficult than what it was at the time. We had 6 feet of water on Eagle Ridge Drive, if you can imagine that. They were driving jet skis down Eagle Ridge Drive. If that retention pond wasn't there, it would have been far worse for the residents of Woodbine. Last month when I was here, I received the information that Woodbine Golf Course was purchased by the village. And I then had the sad chore of walking around and visiting the residents of Woodbine subdivision, telling them about what had just taken place with Jim Ludwig and Woodbine. And I can tell you that, Jim, we were deeply saddened, all of us, by what took place with the business and the economy, and it broke our hearts, quite frankly. You're not going to find a finer resident than Jim Ludwig and his family. And I would just ask the board that whatever Jim's wishes are for the future, if he wants a year or two to run his golf course, I would ask the board to take all of this into consideration and realize what a valuable asset this gentleman and his family have been to our community. While I was walking around, a number of people that I talked to in Woodbine were shocked at what had just taken place, and they had concerns, and their concerns were lights, noise, congestion, traffic. And I formed not really a website, but an email address where the residents could send emails. And we've received several emails to residentsunite@yahoo.com. And I'm just going to read you one of the many that we've received, just to give you an idea of what it is that we are concerned about in Woodbine, Saddlebrook, and Woodbine West. And I'm not going to mention any names on this particular email or any of the emails that I may read in the future, but I have forwarded these to the board so they're well aware of what's taking place. Dear Resident Unite, thank you for taking interest in the Woodbine Golf renovation. And I will not be able to speak at the meeting Tuesday, May 13th. But I am opposed to adding any activity to the parkland on the Woodbine Golf Course that would add any more consistent lighting similar to which is used at the sports fields to the west. Even if the village would say that they would just add fields for daytime use, and they would likely seek lighting in the future. What would prevent them from adding more fields and more lights in the future? You can see the lights from the ball fields all the way from Bell Road. The lights are on from May through October and often past 10 p.m. This type of lighting does not belong in our or any residential area. Fields with that type of lighting belong in an industrial area. That's all I really have to say, and I would hope that the board would take all of this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Crockett?
Good evening, Board. I'll keep this brief because, yes, the Hawks are in the first period. We'd like to see at least the third period. I'm a resident of Woodbine Subdivision, 14830 Eagle Ridge Drive, also the president of the Homer Stallions Football Organization and a member of the Homer Sports Youth Organization. I want to reiterate the fact that we would like to see, starting in 2015, the ability to use in a temporary fashion the area contiguous to behind the sports complex on 151st Street, behind the East Football Field, and fields 3 and 4, which do not affect any residents, are not bordering any residential areas, for practice space for our sports teams. This encompasses all of the sports organizations in Homer Glen. We respect the fact, and obviously being a resident of Woodbine, we respect the fact of the residents in all of the areas, and we realize that this is a sensitive issue. But we also realize that there are over 3,000 youth in the Homer area that are involved in our sports organizations. And they too, with their families, need to have their voices heard. We've provided a service to the residents of Homer Glen and Homer Township for over 50 years. Now a time is a taxpayer-owned piece of land, the Woodbine Golf Course. It is a taxpayer-owned piece of land that we are allowed some use of these areas. They do not need any type of work. We are not asking for any amendments to the existing land, with the exception of grass cutting and some weeding and minor fertilization, nothing else. And that would create an area for our youth and families that are contiguous to the sports complex to have a safe and active area for youth sports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Mike Torres.
Hi, Mike Torres, 12413 West Huntley, Homer Glen, Illinois. I was at the last meeting, and many of you I emailed a letter to, and different topics. The first thing I do is I do feel bad for the previous owner of Woodbine. I know that my in-laws lost their business, but as it is, that happens as part of business. I know now the village has bought that property. What I'm looking for is what was said a little bit before. I've been here for 7-8 years, and it's gotten to the point when it comes to activities where so many different organizations have really stepped up and done the job that the village needs to do. If you look at surrounding areas, we've kind of become the joke in a way that The individuals have to take this on. You look at Lamont, Orland, Frankfurt, wherever you want to go. There are park districts and enough availability to support the growth of a town in the appropriate way. The area's there. You've got the grass. It's set up. What we're asking for in the first stage, I believe, is very reasonable. It allows you the time to do it appropriately in stages. I live over here in Goodings Grove, and a Myers was built. It helps the community. It grows. When I was there, that wasn't much there. Now it's going to be lighting. It happens. We're in a 21st century. There's going to be light. It's going to happen. I totally support the environment as well, but when you look to this, there's no more time for us to wait. It's a cornfield on a tight 2-lane road. Something's going to happen. I see people pulling over, going around. Someone's going to get hurt. And even at Culver, there's teams stacked upon teams hitting baseballs. At least this way, as a parent, you can go to one location and let your kids be in activities. The current environment that Woodbine was designed for recreation. There were golfing going on. There was noises for it, people hitting the ball. Golf carts. That starts early, it goes late. There was also events that go on. There were weddings and that. I can't believe there was no wedding that ever went past 11 o'clock there. Maybe I'm wrong. But events had to have gone on there. So it was built for recreation. You have the environment preset to at least utilize for practice to help create a safer environment for kids. All I'm asking for is a sense of urgency. That's all I'm asking for. It could be done in stages. It doesn't have to happen at once. The lighting discussion can happen later. But for now, you've got it. It's right there. It shouldn't be that huge of a decision. There is a need. I doubt anyone would say there isn't a need when we're scrapping for cornfields, Morris fields. It's just not here. So all I'm asking you for is, you don't see all the support here because most of the people are at practice or putting their kids to bed for school. But if you do hold a meeting, hold it at a time to where those families that have kids can come. Make it a 6 o'clock meeting. Make it on a certain day, and I think you'll be shocked. You probably won't be able to find a parking spot in Homer because I know myself, I can bring 400 or 500 people here in an hour if it's needed. So just hold it at a reasonable time where families with young kids can come. I live at Myers. I live right by Myers. There's lights going up there. There's business happening there. So thank you for consideration.
Brian Sanford. Patrick Corkin. Bob Bennett.
Good evening. My name is Bob Bennett. I live at 15046 Eagle Ridge Drive. First of all, let me say that I agree with this purchase. I have two kids, 16 and 12, both have gone through HAC, played baseball and softball, and I myself was a football coach at the Homer Stallions for 6 years. I'd probably still be doing it today if my son wasn't stuck in a hockey rink 4 days a week. So I get it. I understand the needs of our community's youth. I've been at those practices, I've been at those fields, and yes, space is needed. I would complain a lot as an assistant coach, we wish we had more area to practice. It's a beautiful piece of property. The other thing that makes me uniquely positioned to talk about this topic is my house borders the golf course. I live on the fourth hole, second house in Woodbine subdivision. We've lived there for 14 years, and the Ludwigs have been wonderful neighbors. As my neighbor Brock Backel already stated, Jim and his wife and his son have been fantastic. But this transformation, it has endless possibilities, but it needs to involve all residents, and time needs to be taken to do it right. There's no need to rush here. This will take countless man hours and cost a significant amount of money. As a Woodbine resident, I see three main issues involving this purchase. First, as I already touched upon, needs of our youth. Second, disruption of area residents. Not only Woodbine, but Woodbine West and Saddlebrook. More specifically, what's already been mentioned, the lights, increased traffic, parking, noise. But it's a massive piece of property, and there's many things that could be done here. I appreciate Brian Crocky's comments. Brian's a neighbor of mine. I've known him for years. And I appreciate the fact that he mentioned that this could be done right. It could be an extension off the existing complex property and causes no additional disruption to the area residents. And third, something I'm painfully and personally familiar with, drainage. I think a lot of people are aware of the flooding issues, and Brock already mentioned it, in Woodbine subdivision. Some of the trustees on the board may recognize me. I worked for 5 years, for countless hours, with the board in the village to relieve the flooding in Woodbine subdivision. And along with your assistance and the generosity and assistance of Jim Ludwig, we were able to resolve some of those issues in Woodbine. However, it hasn't worked completely just yet. Woodbine and Bevel Creek share one detention pond at Culver Park. So there's things that still need to be done, and hopefully, with the reconstruction of the property, we can work together and still alleviate some of the additional drainage issues. So please, take time and do this right. This could be a significant accomplishment that we can all in the village of Homer Glen be proud of, or this could be a nightmare fraught with antagonism and strife. I beg you, please choose a former. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Jennifer Brunetti? Dave Dilger?
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Dilger. I live at 12107 Graceland Court in Homer Glen. Thank you for letting me talk again. There's a couple things that came out in the paper last week that I just wanted to clarify a little bit, little transparency. One article in there stated that there was a meeting held by all the sports groups and Mayor Daley and one other trustee. That is true. That's absolutely true. But I also want everybody to know that the purchase of the golf course went through in December, and that was publicized in the paper. So after December, I called the mayor and I asked him if the sports group could get together and have a meeting just to give our opinions as to what we would like to see. And we understand everything about the homeowners. That's why we went out and actually Trustee Yukich and Swede went with myself and two other members of the Friends of the Homer Youth Soccer or Youth Sports. And we looked at the property and everybody said we need to get away from the homes. So that's what we did. We went over by, what Brian said, we went over by the sports complex. Found 2 holes. One of the holes is 500 yards long. That's 5 football fields. That's a lot of practice facility. We don't need to tear out any trees to let the kids practice there next year. We don't need, the grass will be ripped up. We already know that. Our group spent a lot of money right now repairing fields already. We get the drill. All of the people that work with these sports group are volunteers. Okay? There's like 100 hours in a day that all these people probably put in repairing fields, organizing sports. All we want is a little piece of property starting in December or January 2015. Thank you.
Jill Robertson? Sorry about that. Jim DePasque? Hopefully I didn't butcher that.
No, no, it's okay. My name's Jim DePass. I live at 12010 West Meadowland Drive. I just had my driveway redone and I had the public sidewalk put in, and the contractor that did it put a sign in my yard, and the other day the compliance code officer come by and told me I could not have that sign in my yard. He made me take them down. I'm wanting to know what code I was violating and why I can't have a sign in my yard. That's all I'm wondering. Thank you.
Okay. Jim, what we'll do, we've got a phone number here for you. Someone from the village will get a hold of you and explain what it was.
Okay.
Thank you. Ken Marson? Scott Creech? Dennis Gerwig?
Dennis Irving, 12250 West Derby Lane,
Homer Glen. There's a lot of business people here tonight, I assume. I don't think I'll be making too many friends with them on this feathered sign issue. You see that flag that we all pledge allegiance to? Just try to plant one of those flags on an IDOT piece of roadway. Just try it. That'll be down in a heartbeat. Cannot fly flags, banners, anything that waves on an IDOT highway. We went through this with the 159th Street Rapid Project. There's a reason for that. And the reason is that they're afraid that that flag will come loose from its holdings and blow at the wind or drop down and land on a vehicle blocking their sight. What happens after that, you can guess. Okay? So you can't do it on IDOT. And anyway, these feathered signs that these business people want to put up, they're probably useless without being as close to the roadway as they can get. I presume we're talking mostly about Bell Road here. I'm going to take a wild guess that there's an easement on Bell Road, and it's not Homer Glen property. I believe this is a county issue because it's county property. So we may say okay, the county may have another story. By the way, these traveling at 45 miles per hour, I'm going to give you some facts here, which the other business people have not. Traveling at 45 miles per hour, a vehicle travels 66 feet a second. These pennants, feathered signs, will be placed close to driveways leading into and out of various shopping centers along the way. They will create a hazard, no question about it. They will create a hazard. Sharon Swedes at the planning commission meeting made the comment that the roads that have these will look like a side road leading into Reno, and she's absolutely correct. Don Mitchell said that we're going to start looking like Crestwood. Well, my son has a business in Crestwood. In fact, he's in direct competition with Sleepy's, our newest business. If you want to see one of his pennants, one of his feathered signs, take a ride down Cicero northbound. He's at 132nd Street. As you approach the bridge going over the Cal-Sag Channel, look up in the trees. That's where you'll see his feathered sign. That's where the wind blew. So there is definitely a very strong possibility of these signs being dislodged and winding up on somebody's windshield. And to try to read a feathered sign that's moving, traveling at 66 feet per second, that's a little risky. Of course, some of the speakers they disallowed for that. You know, let's promote our business and so forth. This village does enough to promote business in this town. We do more than enough to promote business. So, if you want to see what a feathered sign can look like, go take a ride to the Cal-Sag Bridge on Cicero Avenue. Your host. No. That's a waste of time now.
Thank you, Dennis. All right, that is the end of public comment. What we did just go through now, just so the audience does know, you're more than welcome to stay for this, the rest of the meeting, but nothing's going to be addressed about Woodbine, with the sports group being able to use it, with residents that are around it, with the mayor leaving, and there's nothing, they didn't put anything on the agenda for us to discuss it. I would say that next 2 weeks, we'll see if the village manager can set something up to get the entire community together, not just the homeowners, not just the sports group. We want everyone. So as long as we give everyone the opportunity, whether they show up or not, that's their option. But as it stands right now, we have nothing going on the agenda for tonight.
Right.
And we will get a date set. When we get the date set, we will make sure that everyone is notified. And we will go from there. Thank you.
You may want to take a 2-minute break while we
Could we take a 5-minute recess for a second, seeing it was so long? All right, we're back in session.
He's sitting there with his TV.
So, we are in legislative items now. And the first one is consideration for approval of a proclamation declaring May 2014 Building Safety Month in the Village of Homer Glen. I need a motion.
I so move. I second.
Okay, trustee Sabo, trustee Suisse, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo? Aye. Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo? Aye. Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye. Motion carries. Consider for approval the mayor's appointments to the Administration and Finance Committee and the Planning Commission. There's going to be 3 motions for this board. Board's consideration. First motion, is there a motion to appoint trustee Marcia DeVivo, trustee Ted Kajanius, trustee Mike Costa, and Mayor Jim Daly as the chair of the Administration and Finance Committee? It is understood that these appointments are for the period of 1 year.
So moved. So moved.
All right, so trustee Kajanius and
Second.
second is trustee DeVivo. Okay. Are there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Motion 2, is there a motion to appoint Kevin Hoffmeister as Chair of the Planning Commission? It is understood that this appointment is for the period of 1 year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, and Kevin already left, so, oh, he's in the hallway? Congratulations, Kevin.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Motion 3, is there a motion to appoint Joe Maska to the Planning Commission? It is understood that this appointment is for a period of 3 years and expires May 2017.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye. Joe's not here. Congratulations, Joe. Okay. I3. Consider for approval ordinance number 14-025, an ordinance granting variances from the allowable number of wall signs per building elevation from the applicable regulations of the zoning ordinance. So it reads out. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-025, an ordinance granting variances from the allowable number of wall signs per building elevation from the application regulations of the zoning ordinance for the property commonly known as 12701 West 143rd Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, which would be Silver Cross Health Center?
So moved.
That was a tie.
Trustee Kajanis.
Trustee Kajanius, and second, trustee Costa. Is there is there any discussion?
Yes. I believe that I would like manager to explain what is being requested of the sign ordinance, or of the signs by Silver Cross as it pertains to the ordinance, to make it very clear the reason for this and why it is possible.
Very good. Well, to make it short, I'm going to hand the mic over to Erin. I'll let her explain.
Okay, our sign ordinance allows for one wall sign per building elevation. Silver Cross currently has the on the north elevation, they have a sign that says Silver Cross with the actual cross on it. And then they also have on the east and north, kind of circling, they have a Silver Cross text. And then on the I believe it's the south elevation, they have 2 signs as well. So with the addition of this sign, this request, they will need a variance because they'll have 2 signs on 3 sides of the building.
The reason I asked that is because some residents were concerned about the signs. And so that I wanted it explained. And I think there's some justification here, if you would like to explain the reason.
Sure. These signs are going on, the requested signs are going on the east and west sides of the building, one each on the east side and one on the west side, which the residences are to the south. And the justification in this case, the hardship would be that it is an emergency center and they need the increased visibility from the road for people to find the building.
Any other questions, Margaret?
No, just a comment, if I may. Having the words emergency on this medical facility for the public, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, regardless. I've had the unfortunate pleasure of utilizing that facility back a few years ago. They do an outstanding job. They're solid in the community. They are a benefit for our community. And I think allowing the public to know on other passerbys on 143rd that may need emergency services, whether it be at 9 o'clock at night or early in the morning, that it's an emergency facility, is a benefit to the human being, human nature, us as people. I think it's a good thing.
Thank you, trustee. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 4, consider for approval ordinance number 14-028, an ordinance granting a map amendment, amending the zoning classification of certain real property hereinafter legally described and located at 14400 West 151st Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, from the A1 Agricultural District to the P1 Governmental Buildings and Public Schools District, Homer Township Highway Department.
I so move.
Any discussion?
I second.
All right, is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Sabo?
You're asking for a discussion, right? Okay. Oh, I didn't need to be first, I just...
Okay.
Okay. I did ask, someone else can go. I don't need to.
Trustee Suisse?
Thank you. I have several questions. I don't understand. Can you explain why you were going from ag to a P1 when, if you stay in ag with a variance if needed? What's your benefit?
Well, for any future growth, I'm sure the department is going to remain stagnant for the first 100 years. This is an opportunistic time for us to gain zoning that will work better. I'm sure a highway department is not something you would normally steer to agricultural. If there was no zoning on the land, and I was in front of you asking for zoning for this property, I'm sure you wouldn't suggest it be zoned agricultural. This is a P1, which was, I believe, created for public and quasi-public buildings. It fits, makes it easier for us, and we're going for it. This is the time to do it. We're in front of the board.
Okay.
It's something we've been considering for a long time, but I certainly would not come before you asking for the approval of our plan and not also asking for this as well.
Okay. Maybe this is for the Plan Commission. Is it correct? Is it my understanding that a P1 classification exempts one from then coming to the board for approval for future plans or for building? I mean, if he goes from agriculture to P1 tonight, if that's approved, then it goes fast tracks to staff, and then the board has no knowledge of future development on that P1 classification.
No, it's not fast-tracked. It goes through the same process as anybody would, but it is handled on the staff level. That's how it was designed. It's meant to accommodate ourselves if we ever decide to have a building and have that. It was developed by the board and the Plan Commission a couple years ago to serve our needs to serve the township's needs, to serve fire district's future needs. You know, it's meant for our sister governmental entities and us, and that's how it was designed. But it's not meant to fast track. It's just it's handled on the staff level. And then, of course, I always inform the board about it, all that stuff.
So with the P1 classification, the board does not know unless we're advised about what's happening there, and there's no consent from the board needed to do whatever they want to do.
There's no
within the zoning.
Right, there wouldn't be any additional review by the board unless he, through the process, discovers that he needs to make another request for another variance or something like that. Then, of course, it would go back to the plan commission and to the board if there was some variance. If he doesn't, in Mike, I say he, I mean you, if he follows all the codes and everything, then it doesn't need to come back. If there's something that runs averse to the codes, then he would need to come back.
Okay. Is it my, because I was trying to read a little bit about that, so is it correct in saying that a P1 zoning also exempts buildings from the exterior construction standards?
That's, all public buildings are exempt, no matter what the zoning would be.
So they don't have to follow any of that?
It's all government buildings, yeah.
So
No
with-
matter what if he were to stay agricultural, that would be the case as well,
It doesn't have any relation to the
to
zoning.
the P1.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else, Trustee?
No, I think that's...
Trustee Sable?
Well, I'm really happy that the Highway Department has the money to do this. And
I may have to do it in phases.
Well,
I'm not-
all right.
I'm not going to borrow, it hasn't gone out for bid yet, but I can assure this board that this taxing body will not borrow.
Well,
It takes us a little longer to build than we will.
Well, the intention is there, and it's a good idea to continue to improve a property. And if you need the space, you have the space. And if you need what the purpose of it is, you're trying to fulfill something that you feel is warranted. And I certainly understand that. I did ask, and there was so much information on this. It really, because it's a P1, it's different than anything that we usually do. So it took more studying and so forth. In the A1 district, the A1 allows for 20% coverage, and I asked today just to make sure what the amount would. I asked for the amount that would include the new building. So that includes all buildings plus the new addition, or I should say the new addition part, not the new building. And you are up to 19%. And so that 20 is the max. And I know that under the P1 that you have more latitude, and it would be, I think you would have 50%. But my concern is that at this time, even though you're thinking of the future, at this time, it isn't necessary. So that, I say, at this time, it isn't necessary to amend your property to a P1. I'm saying you feel it's necessary to have an addition to the building. I don't disagree with that. But I'm concerned at this time that it isn't really necessary to go to a P1 because you're really not asking for anything over, and we don't know what plans you have in the future. I think when we see some plans in the future, that would be the appropriate time to change the zoning on this. And so the P1 is an interesting zoning, and at this point, according to the chart, it only allows for buildings. Is that correct? We would only be considering buildings. Is that right?
For Government buildings, yeah.
Okay, so I really would like in the future to have more discussion on the P1 zoning before we grant any P1 zoning changes or changes to, from, say, ag to a P1. Because this is like spot zoning. There's nothing around it like it. So here's a spot, and it's different than the other ag around it. And I just think we should spend some time and really discuss the P1 and really what it means, what the advantages are, what maybe there are some disadvantages. What is a government building? Is it just a building where the business of the government or takes place, or could it be buildings related to that government? Could it be buildings that may not be so related to the government, maybe removed, but you know, kind of questionable. And the other thing I don't care for about the P1 is the fact that it's automatic, and the board then does not have more decision-making in this, because if it's permitted, it's accepted. And there has to be much justification to deny something. For example, a restaurant in an R2, it's permitted in an R2. Unless there was something really wrong, this board couldn't say no. That's my feeling on it. So I feel that the Homer Township Highway Department will get what it wants with an A1, and at this time, and increasing the building that it has. There isn't a problem with it. And so it isn't preventing them from building this addition. So I would just like to wait and discuss the P1, and I think I would feel on more solid ground, and then we want to see what plans there are, because this property is very large, and we need to know a little bit more about plans of the future for any government entity. I mean, we did this mostly because of schools, so with schools. Well, I have a little quote here that says that. I went back to 2012, and it says, the P1 governmental buildings in public school district fills the void. Currently, only 2 permitted uses in the P1 district are government buildings in public schools. We weren't talking really about, you know, I mean, it included lots of government, but we didn't really go into detail. And I'd like to go into detail about this. We're not preventing the highway department from getting anything that they need or want at this point.
Okay, Trustee Sabo, are you all?
I am. I just say that my points are, we're not preventing anything that they want. We wait until we discuss P1, or we wait, or if they have something in the future that they want to do, then we consider the P1. And that the board will, my real concern is that the board will give up something that they really need to know. We won't know too much about it. And if staff is handling it, I know that they'll be communicating with us, but we don't have the decision-making at this time.
Okay, Trustee Costa?
Thank you. You know, 2 years ago when we created this, approximately 2 years ago, we created this, there was a reason behind it, and that was to help streamline the government, if you want to say, moving with construction or remodeling or renovations or whatever. So I think there was a real reason for it. And to my knowledge, this might be the first time we're really exercising it, and here we are arguing about it. So, not arguing, but discussing it. If there's an issue with just the board knowing or having some kind of say-so, if you want to say, on what you're going to build there. If I remember our discussion back then, there was even some dialogue saying that, I can't imagine a public entity that would not build a building as close to the ordinances that they can, and of course you have to follow all safety regulations anyway. But with that being said, if we're only looking at something coming past this board, if you want to say for approval, then why don't we just, pass the P1 tonight and ask staff to hold off approving any design or permits until we revisit this ordinance again and put a amendment to it saying it comes back to the board? I mean, why should we hold up? You went through all this work already, to get all the paperwork. Let's just get it on there now and direct staff not to do any building permits until we revisit it. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the board?
Well,
I just,
Go ahead.
what you're suggesting that that you don't get started on the construction of this project?
No.
Project?
That
I'm
wasn't
sorry,
it
I
at
didn't
all.
understand.
Well, I'm sorry, Trustee, can I say?
Yeah.
Mike,
I haven't got the permits yet.
right, now you're saying, do you, just let me, maybe I said something, do you have plans and everything you had
Yeah, we
said?
have plans.
Yes.
Okay,
The plans are being reviewed.
Yeah, they're being
Okay,
reviewed
if-
like a normal project would.
if we get this back on the agenda for the board to discuss it and see what we want to do, is it going to hinder you think, with starting, how soon did you want to start construction? Let me ask you that question.
Well, we haven't gone out for bid yet. I certainly would like to see this project begin in the summer.
Okay, so would it be safe to say that we have 2 months to discuss P1?
I'm certainly not going to start it before the fest.
Oh, hopefully you don't. Thank you. So you have, let's say into July. I mean, if we're looking for just an amendment to say that plans are brought to this board for approval prior to, I mean, we'd basically be approving plans from one government entity to another one saying yes or
Right.
no to it or making changes, so.
Right. If Mr. DeVivo had to stick with A1, he would actually have to go all the way back through the process again, renotice, do a PUD. He'd have to go through that whole process
See,
again.
and that's what I think we created
So-
the P1 for,
Right,
so
we
we
did create
didn't
it.
put the government agencies,
Right.
entities through all of that work.
Right,
So-
that's correct.
And again, I would like to fast-track our discussion at our next meeting to see what we want to add to the P1 and amendment, but I'd like to grant it so that we're not starting from square one again. We shouldn't drag this out. We just came in 2 years ago, and we're already want to make changes to it. I think that's good if we look at it, but let's move forward tonight. That's my opinion.
I can't agree more with you, Trustee Costa, on that. This was to streamline the process in hopes of saving time, taxpayer money, to make the process work for the community and government. My understanding is the property was purchased by taxpayer money, approved.
Owned by the taxpayers.
Owned by the taxpayers. It needs to be developed. To do anything that could interfere with that hindrance of the expeditious avenues for the taxpayers, short-term and long-term, I think would be an injustice to the money that we spent in this community on the property as residents and taxpayers. I do agree with you, Trustee Costa, that yes, we could revisit this and have some approval process coming back forward. It sounds as though that the process is starting already with plans going to the village. I think things are working as they should. Why would we want to try to throw sugar in the gas tank when the gas tank and the engine's running correctly?
Yeah, this is a public project. I'm nothing more than the steward. This is the people's project, not mine. I mean, when I'm gone, I'm not taking it with me.
Trustee Yukich, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So if we, instead of pushing this through, so since you're not ready to work on this for 2 months, so if we do not do anything, wait, if we don't do anything with this and table it until the next meeting or so, we're not stopping, or you, with your agriculture, you're not stopping from going out to
We're waiting
bid.
for approval, we're moving forward. I have, an architect and an engineer here now. And every day we're meeting and moving forward.
Right.
And I certainly can't go out for bid without an approval.
Well, you're going to have an approval, whether it's agriculture or
I can't go
people.
out for bid without approval. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd just like to say something here. I don't want my intentions to be misconstrued here. I am for this project. I don't know, and you'll have to explain this to me, why it just can't be voted on as an A1. What would he have to
Because
go?
you'd have to start over again.
Start all over again with,
He'd
the
have to
building is the same.
Yeah, I might not have been clear the first time. He would have to go through the PUD process. He would have to come back through the system, come back through the Plan Commission, repost, renotice. He'd have to go through that process again.
And that he honestly doesn't have time to do.
Well, that is something that I think, that I wasn't considering. It's the fact that there was a public hearing on it, and so forth. I understand that. If we can, and I don't want anything to be held up. I mean, there was a reason for this ordinance, but then we have to look at this ordinance very carefully. I suggested that we do revisit it. And my one suggestion is that that we don't look at this, well, if it's a permitted use, what can we do? I mean, it's going to have to be accepted. I don't know how the board can get involved when staff says that they would be involved in a permitted use. So I don't know how we improve this ordinance. And at this time, we really don't know exactly what the Highway Department wants to do in the future. I hope it's great. I think that they have great ideas. I'm not chastising them at all.
Okay,
So-
any other questions? Let's call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Just if I may, Mr. Pro Tem Mayor, that we do revisit this soon, so it doesn't languish, and that we see how we can improve this ordinance, so that the board, being the, not only the voting body, but also the elected body, can
Cameron?
still keep some of their authority.
Cameron, could you see if we can
We
set it up for the next?
We will, actually. Aaron will put together a nice memo that summarizes the ordinance again, and we'll put it on for the next agenda as a discussion item.
Thank
And
you.
invite Mr. DeVivo to come to the meeting if he'd like.
But for the record, this approved, this phase
Right.
did approve.
Right.
Regardless of the next discussion.
Yes. Okay. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-024, an ordinance granting a variance for off-street parking from the applicable regulations of the zoning ordinance for the property commonly known as 14400 West 151st Street, Homer, Glen, Illinois, Homer Township Highway Department?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14026, an ordinance accepting certain public improvements in the Hidden Cove subdivision? It is understood that Hidden Cove is a private subdivision whereby only the public improvements to be accepted by the village is a stormwater management system. In addition, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources has jurisdiction over the Class 1 dam in the Hidden Cove subdivision, and that the current IDNR operation and maintenance permit is issued to Marquette Bank. Further, any future owners of the subdivision will need to obtain a new operations and maintenance permit from the IDNR, as the permits are not transferable.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Trustee Suisse. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Okay. Number 7, Is there a motion to approve Resolution Number 14-002, authorizing $153,177.15 reduction of letter of credit number 2006-1496 for the Hidden Cove subdivision from the current LOC amount of $255,674.70 to the new letter of credit amount of $102,470.55?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Number 8, is there a motion to direct the village manager to negotiate a professional service agreement with Williams Architect, Itasca, for services related to remodeling of the new village hall?
I so move.
Second.
First by Suisse, second by Sabo. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to add an amendment to that motion and to include drafts to the board at the end. So it would read, related to remodeling of the new village hall, and to include drafts to the board.
Okay.
I'm sorry, would trustee Suisse please
Yeah.
repeat that?
Is there a motion to direct the village manager to negotiate a professional service agreement with Williams Architects Itasca for services related to remodeling of the new village hall, and to include drafts to the board?
Drafts.
To include what?
Drafts. Draft?
Draft. Oh, yeah, the draft, whatever's
A
written.
draft?
Yeah.
A draft of
The
the
agreement?
service agreement.
Well, okay, so are you meaning that the board will then review?
of the agreement.
So we get the same contract. Okay.
Well, yes, that's right. I'm just looking at this. I'm just looking at it a little different way here. Just a minute.
Is this motion approving the agreement, or it's
No.
authorizing you?
It's
to
authorizing me
negotiate
to
the agreement
negotiate
bring
it.
it back to the board?
Right.
Okay. So this is now
Okay.
approving the agreement.
Okay, well, that's what I was questioning.
Okay.
Okay.
We would have to, after negotiations, it would be brought back to us anyway.
It will, and it probably will
So-
come back on the first meeting of June.
So the motion stands as it is right now. That
Right.
It would have to be, it's only a negotiation. So,
Okay.
Well,
Madam Clerk, oops.
Wait a minute, now, trustee Sees wanted to amend it. She wanted to amend it so that it came back to the board. Now,
Okay, well, we
here's
can
just-
still do the amendment.
You can do the amendment. It won't change this is just giving me
Gonna see
authority
it
to talk
anyway.
to him and come with a draft, and then the draft will come to the board for consideration and potential approval. So that's what the motion says. I appreciate what you said, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
really-
because it
it's all
wasn't, I
gonna-
wanted more clear.
Right,
Okay.
right. That's what's going to
Okay.
happen.
So,
Probably the first meeting in June.
so, Mr. Pro Tem, is trustee Suisse withdrawing her amendment? Because I want to know as a second.
It doesn't matter.
it's, yeah,
That's included.
yeah.
It's automatically included what they're going to do, so we
Okay.
have the background.
All right, well,
Okay.
want
I
to
just
know
wanted to
that.
clarify. Okay.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Number 9, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-027, a text amendment to ordinance number 08-048 entitled The Village of Homer Glen Zoning Ordinance, amending the signage regulations to allow feather banners as an acceptable temporary sign option?
So moved.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
Yes. Well, it's just my thoughts. The village already allows temporary banners that businesses can employ to promote sales. And since this content cannot be regulated, and I still feel that it's clutter, and I do not like the sight of the feather banners.
Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, there is. Whether it's horizontal or vertical, it's a banner. You know, I mentioned earlier about property tax, and we like to collect and spend our property tax. We like to spend it on various budget issues in the village, but yet the owner of the business who needs to attract business with the downward pressures that government, including us, place on businesses, they need to create an atmosphere for upward growth on their sales revenue. There was a comment earlier about on the right-of-ways and the state and American flags. Well, Mr. Garing, you're very correct. We can't get an American flag posted up on government property in this town, let alone right-of-ways. But this is not on the easement. This is a setback. There is a setback, and we do have a temporary sign ordinance currently now. This is an attractive and widely used practice for marketing. This does not change signage in the community. When we looked at, as a board, several years back, the temporary sign ordinance, which was very restrictive, but very punitive, but it was widespread violations where we had phantom signs throughout the community. We had signs on street corners from other towns. Through our temporary sign ordinance in the past, we were able to clear up that mess and that muck. It has not been widely abused, nor do I find it on a chance of being widely abused at this point in time. I believe that signage is very important to businesses. I could quote small business administrations from the federal government on signage, on how important signage and temporary signage is to the community. I shut off my... I apologize. I do have a mom in the hospital also, okay? And that's what I'm also concerned with. You know, just not village and taxpayer information, but on a personal side as well. So I apologize for that. Man, I lost my train here, thinking about on the personal side of things. I apologize for that again. But signage, we find signage to be such an annoyance. I heard a trustee comment about other municipalities or other cities. I don't know if that trustee's ever been to those other cities, but those are beautiful, vibrant cities that use feather banners. I've been to those cities. I have relatives that live in those cities, and it's nestled right up against the mountains, right next to Lake Tahoe. Beautiful areas called Reno. We have to understand that this is not a nuisance. It hasn't been a nuisance, but anything in life could be a nuisance if we make it out to be a nuisance. But this is a source for our small business person. Us, as trustees, we've ran through elections. And if we don't believe in signs, then I would like to know why, as the campaign approaches, within 30 days of the next campaign, we're on every corner of every avenue, of every possible street we could get our hands on to put up a sign. That is a true comparison if we don't believe in signs. But it's okay for our own... I'm sorry, Mr. This is me. But it's signage. If signage is not important, then let's understand why. It's not important to some, but important to those who create rules. There is not an issue in our town. There hasn't been an issue with overburdening signs. I think our sign ordinance is solid. I think as far as a feather banner sign, whether it's vertical or horizontal, it's the same sign. Actually, I believe the feather banners are more attractive. So if we want to go ahead as a board in the community, restrict these signs, so be it. But it's not both signs. It's a temporary sign for 91 days in the course of a year.
Okay.
It's either or.
Madam Clerk, is there anyone else with a comment? Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trustee Costa.
Okay, this is a tough decision. For me, it is. I'm being honest with everybody. At first, when this came to the board, I believe 4 of us voted to let it go to Plan Commission, let the Plan Commission discuss this, have an open hearing on it, and come back with a recommendation. The Plan Commission did not recommend this to the board. In fact, it failed at the Plan Commission. It actually was a tie, but that's actually failing for the recommendation. But anyway, there were a couple questions I had, and actually asked staff, asked Cam to talk to our legal counsel. One of my questions was, can we limit feather banners to businesses that do not have, let's for example, that don't have liquor licenses, or can you limit it just to certain businesses? Pretty much can't do that. You can't pick and choose who has the banner. You know, it's freedom of speech. You can't tell one business they can have it and the other one can't for one reason or another. I also asked staff to research, because many, many years ago, I worked in the auto industry, and I remember the businesses or the manufacturer would send promotional material to the dealerships, and you had to put it up. It was either regional or, statewide or national sale or special. So you were, I don't want to say obligated, but if you wanted to, advertise the same special or the same whatever's going on with the corporation, you had to put up your literature. So I asked staff to research that and find out what's happening today. And we have probably 10 or 12 different answers. Some corporations do not offer feather banners. Some of them, the owner does not have a choice of what size banner. They might be sent a 12-footer or a 14-footer. This ordinance basically says 10-footer. So now a business that comes in and says, well, corporate sent me a 14-footer, I need a variance on your feather banner because you only allow 10s. So now we're saying, no, you can't have a 14, or yes, you can have a 14. Then what happens when a 16 comes in? And so on and so forth. There's also been some feedback from businesses that say that they do not use it as common practice. They tried them some years ago. They were expensive, and they did not feel there was a return on their investment. Some of them say they use word of mouth, other avenues. Some they don't offer them, so it would be up to the owner to actually buy it on his own. So it's all over the board. Since this issue came up a few months ago, I started trying to notice feather banners more as I was driving. Yes, when they're new, bright colors, if you're looking for something, you drive by, I want to tell you, they do stick out. You do look at them. Go down 179th Street, there's a couple of them on the part right on the back side of the sidewalk on a private property. The way the wind was blowing, I had to literally turn my head as I'm driving on the road to see what it said because the way the wind was blowing the sign, you couldn't read it. Those are things that, you take into consideration. And then I went past another place that had sign after sign after sign after sign. It wasn't there a few days ago, but now all of a sudden they put 3 or 4 in a row. Some of them were bright colors, a couple of them were faded looking. I just think it would be very difficult for us to stay consistent because there's no consistency in the signs that are coming out. You can have 7-footers, 8-footers, 12-footers, 14-footers. We have a sign ordinance. It's not that we're restricting anybody or taking the banners away from them. Some of them are asking to add banners to it. I just think that it would be difficult for us to stay consistent. And all the residents that have contacted me, I have not had one say, I think it's great, say yes to it. All of them had concerns about safety, what the community is going to look like, and they said, if we have a sign ordinance now, aren't the people able to follow it, or what's wrong with that? So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. With that being said,
One more comment towards that. I'll
have
yield
not
to
been returned
Trustee
yet.
Sabo.
Okay.
I've been looking at feather banners for a long time. And I've been looking at a lot of communities around here that have feather banners. This would be a problem for the code enforcement officer.
Everyone's spoken, and I'm going to finalize it, and then we're going to take it to vote. Just go to 159th, east of, or west of 355. Take a look at the hospital building there. There's 3 of them there. Can't read a thing. They're all ripped up. They're knocked over. It is impossible to enforce this with being able not to enforce it. And there was a comment made, if you can't enforce it, why don't you just go ahead and let it go? No, that's why we have an ordinance. The ordinance says that they are not approved right now, so that's the way, you guys have to vote whether or not you want to change it. But as for the political signs, 2 years ago, we talked about eliminating the political signs. I don't think they should be out there either. It looks horrible, it looks sloppy. And I said that a few months before I ran for office again. They look terrible, they shouldn't be out there. But if one person puts them out there, everybody has to put them out there. The same thing's gonna happen to feather banners. One person puts them out there, everyone else is gonna try. If one puts 10 foot, the other one's gonna try 12 foot, then 14 foot. It's gonna be a war, and they are. How many times have you driven up and down the streets? Everyone in here knows. There's one place you go, there's something on the fence, and that has to go for about 3.5 blocks. It's a word, each 30, 40 feet. And by the time you get to the end of it, you read it. We don't need that here. The businesses can do very well. There are communities that have banned them. And then, like I said, drive to the communities that have approved them. Most of them look like garbage. So let's go ahead and take the roll call and let's end this.
We have a,
I just have one comment. You know, I don't particularly care for the feather banners. They're in the community, obviously. When you ride around on the weekend, you do see them in quite a few different places. But I also recognize the fact that, you know, we have newer businesses in the community. They need a way to let people know where they're at. And I need to know where they're at when I'm driving around so that I don't get in an accident trying to find the place. So, I mean, I definitely see both sides of this. And it's a difficult decision. It definitely is a difficult decision. When you're on Bell, you're set off so far away from Bell Road. Maybe you do need a sign there, but I don't think feather banners really are the way to go. I just don't like them, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's call the roll, please.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Yukich?
No.
Trustee Costa?
Nay.
Trustee DeVivo?
No.
Trustee K. Janice?
yes.
Trustee Sable?
No.
Okay. Motion does not carry. Okay, we go into workshop item. Come on, guys, knock it off. Amended liquor ordinance discussion to address questions from petitioners regarding the village board's legislative intent. Attorney Mark Sturk, please provide the village board with an overview of the memo you drafted and what specific direction you are hoping to receive from the board this evening. Whenever you're ready.
Well, I'm not looking for any particular direction from the board, and I don't know if you even want to take this up tonight in view of the mayor's absence, since he's the person that has to enforce the liquor ordinance. In any event, following the adoption of the ordinance and the restaurant definition, I've received 2 emails, one from the Blackhawk Group, which operates, which?
I think it's Betty's.
Pardon?
Betty's
Bistro. And then a similar email from the organization that operates Stella's, and their question concerns how does the restaurant definition apply to their particular restaurant operations. For example, the Betty's Bistro told me that some of their food is prepared at a central commissary for distribution to the different restaurants that operate. That are operated by Blackhawk, including the Betty's Bistro's operations.
Okay, so the restaurant, and everyone, you know, join in on this. Restaurant-wise, I thought we came up with a pretty good description in the new ordinance of what we expected out of the restaurant. It isn't serving things out of a plastic bag. It isn't reheating something. You're basically cooking it on premise and serving it on premise. So I don't know what everyone else feels, but let's hear from everybody.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I think what we have to get the definition of a restaurant a little bit more clear as far as the type of food. I think a lot of, like Betty's Bistro, Mr. Thiessen was in the paper even commenting, ours operates like a deli. Now, And that's what they're showing. A full menu does not mean a regular restaurant or a full kitchen. You know, they're saying that they serve pizza, breakfast sandwiches, bagels. So we have to determine something a little bit more, that has a little more, I don't want to say meat, substance to it, to determine the difference between what they consider a restaurant while they serve deli items and what we think of a restaurant as, okay, I could sit down and have spaghetti. I think that's possibly a way we can look at it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, okay. George, I think, you know what, I agree, trustee Swees. I think when we adopted this ordinance, I actually asked our legal counsel, can somebody come back and say, well, you know, restaurant or bistro or cafe or whatever, and he said, well, no, the definition is here, and, you know, I agree with it, but again, as soon as you put something in writing, it's up for interpretation. But I think that the definition, in my opinion, is pretty clear in a restaurant, that it says that it's cooked and prepared on the premises, and adequate sanitation facilities, including your safety equipment and everything like that. So, you know, if you prepare it in the next town over and then bring it in, it's not being prepared on site. So I think that knocks that out. And I think possibly if someone says, well, you don't say all the food or 50% of the food, you know, so someone could say, well, I make scrambled eggs here from scratch, but all the rest of them, I mean, can we get into that, Mark, with that? You know, I mean, how far do you go? Our definition could be volumes long for something as simple as, this is what a restaurant is, right, period.
Excuse me, they're getting into the whole minutia of managing the restaurant operation.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, my personal feeling is that the ordinance is written with sufficient clarity, that it speaks for itself, you know, and that they should be guided by that.
Okay.
And not being back before you for interpretations, but that's just my opinion. I'm only the village attorney. I'm not an elected official.
Good. Can I make a comment? I agree with Trustee Costa. There are restaurants in this town that have food that is, they're corporations, chains. They have food that comes in prepared. They open up the container, they open up the bag, whatever it happens to be, and they heat it up. Not that that's all that they serve. They do serve and they do cook some food on site. So they're already here. And that's just the kind of the chain mentality. So we have to be careful of not going into voluminous, you know, definitions of what that really means. So otherwise, we're going to be knocking somebody else out of here if that's the case. So we have to be careful.
And if I may say, Trustee Yukich, is that when we sat down with discussions, I think one of our first meetings we had regarding this is we discussed what the definition of a food establishment was, a restaurant that caters food for the consumption from the public. If I'm not mistaken, that was one of our first conversations we had, if I go back on my notes, on that, personal notes. So we evolved from there, and I think the definition evolved to a pretty solid description. You know, you can kind of get dicey and try to micromanage a business all you want. In the end of the day, all you got is pieces of micromanagement that doesn't taste very edible. I believe that what we did, George, it was pretty solid. I think pretty solid work. I say it stands where it is, personally, on what the definition of what a kitchen is.
Okay.
Anybody has a contrary opinion?
Any contrary opinion of what was just said? Or?
Well, I'd just like to add my comment to what has been said, and that is our goal in amending this liquor ordinance and, what food, what constitutes a restaurant was so that any new facilities coming in that are serving food would be on equal par with the restaurants that exist in our town. so that the requirements are the same. And that was our purpose, and I hope that we have fulfilled our purpose, and I'm going to ask the attorney if he thinks we have fulfilled that purpose.
No, I'm not smart enough to be an elected official, so I can't say that.
Well-
I've expressed my opinion, and that is that I believe that the ordinance is sufficiently precise, and that people of ordinary intelligence will be able to understand what the ordinance means.
Well, I think you had.
They should be guided by the express terms of the ordinance. You know, that's just my opinion. My obligation was to bring this to the board's attention because it is your ordinance and not mine.
Well, I thank you for being so precise, and I think you've answered my question.
Thank you.
Okay,
So we don't need to do anything.
No, I think even though, I had a little issue with even the start of this whole process, Trustee Yukich and to the other board members, because I thought we were chasing something that was pretty solid, and we were chasing things to, in my estimation, to divert. But I think as far as the definition of what a kitchen is, being a former background in education in restaurant management and running restaurant operations, I think that's a pretty good assessment, even though I don't need that much square footage, I don't believe, to make a gourmet meal. That's
Okay.
my personal assessment.
just so everyone's on the same page, and then we can leave this all alone. Definition of a restaurant: any public place kept, used, maintained, advertised, and held out to the public as a place where meals are cooked and prepared in an adequate and sanitary kitchen located on the licensed premises using stoves, ovens, fryers, related equipment located on the licensed premise, and which are protected by a fire protection system that conforms to the village ordinances. The sale of packaged foods such as potato chips, pretzels, popcorn, peanuts, and other similar snacks or frozen or pre-made foods such as pizzas, hamburgers, or sandwiches which can be prepared by heating or warming in an oven shall not be considered food prepared and served on premise as required herein. So pretty much, it is self-explanatory. It does tell you that you have to cook it. If you go into a Chili's, which is a chain, then you order a hamburger, they don't dump it out of a plastic bag and heat it up. They cook it on the stove. French fries, the same thing, so you're not going with chips. A restaurant is you go in and they cook. Is some of the stuff prepared? Half the stuff you're buying from the grocery stores is prepared. You buy the cans of stuff to dump in or to make something. So a restaurant is not something you crack an egg, throw in a microwave, put in a piece of bread in a toaster, and that's your breakfast. That's not cooking.
Trustee Yukich, can I make a comment?
Yes.
Well, then, these like Betty's, some of these, they're opening up as cafes or delis. So do you consider?
I'd like to see their menu and how they cook it. There's enough of them around, we should go by one of them, take a look and see what they do. I mean, I think the lawyers did a great job on this, given a description. Yes, a great job. Thank you. What's the score? We don't want to say.
Too wrapped up.
All right, but the whole point here is, we did go over this, we did make the adjustments. That's why we tried delaying everyone as much as possible, so this way, when they came to us, they knew what they were looking for. Now they know what they're looking for, and they want us to change it. We are not changing it. Are we changing it? No, we're not changing it. So, that's it.
What I see, though, in the future is as certain things evolve in the restaurant industry and certain businesses evolve, whether they be regional or national chains, and whatever their menu items of feature may be, and how they properly prepare and serve the product to the consumer. Ultimately, the consumer is the judge, whether or not they're going to frequent the place on quality. I think that is the best judge and the best vote. This board is insequential if there's no customers going in there because of lousy quality.
Okay.
I do believe that in the future, I think this will be looked at based on those premises that I've stated in the past and I state today.
Okay.
I just have one comment. Small.
Go ahead.
The restaurants that exist today, that existed before the ordinance, we're looking for something that would help them. So we understood the reason for this trying to help them. But we wanted, again, I'm going to repeat this, a fair playing field for all who serve food, so that new businesses that come in do not hurt the businesses that exist.
Okay, with that being said, is there any old business? Is there any new business?
I have one quick comment. Just wanted to mention, hopefully when the staff goes to recon, to please target a business for the Kmart property. Willowbrook just filled their Kmart property with a Pete's Fresh Market, and they closed a lot later than we did, so I think that should be a priority. That's a little eyesore out there.
Okay, is there anything else?
Well, I realize that, some years we've gone to recon in the early years of the village, and then there were years that we didn't go. And I felt that going to the ones that were more regional were more beneficial. And now we're going, this will be a second time going to recon recently. I'm not objecting to that. We just want to know the benefits. We all want the benefits of it. So all I'm asking is that, and I'm sorry about this, that that the trustees or the board was not sought out for ideas, for what type of businesses we would like pursued. And at this point, we don't know what businesses staff has to pursue or what their ideas are, or if they have any appointments that are been made ahead of time. So I think we should, as a board, be included so that we know actually what's going on. And then upon returning, the board should be provided with a report of the businesses that were contacted, and of course we want to see the results. Perhaps these are results from these businesses, or there be results from as an effort. Whatever the effort is, we'd like to see that. Last year, the only comment that was made was we know the board would like the results. Well, we need to see the results, or we need to see why we can't get certain businesses to come in here, and why we can get others. I think the board should be more informed about recon.
Okay. Any other comments? I need a motion to adjourn.
No, are we going into executive session?
To discuss.
Are you?
I
Is
don't
that the
have
mayor?
anything for executive. You have a personal item and you have litigation. You have 2 items for executive session. You have 2 items for
No,
executive
I
session.
know we have them, but with the mayor not being here.
I think you still need to go into executive session.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he'd be fine with it.
Do we have a recess? Do we have a little recess?
Motion to go into executive
I need a motion to go into executive session.
I so move.
Second. All in favor? Motion to bring the.
Adjourn executive
Motion
session.
to adjourn executive session, so moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Let's go watch the Hawks game.